The Pokemon franchise has always been a part of my gaming library growing up, and while everyone always discusses who their favorite Pokemon is, I couldn't care less about them. For me, it's always been about the ladies. I mean, we've got banger after bang her after bang her. So here's a list of my top 5 Pokemon trainer crushes of all time, ranked from occasional worshipper of to eternally simp for. The first Pokegal is a bit of an underrated character in my opinion, and casual fans may be wondering, who is this? And honestly, you'd be pretty justified, as I didn't even come across her online until months, maybe even a year after her debut in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, because sadly, I wasn't playing Pokemon at that point anymore. But as for the trainer, it's Shelly, and if you ask me, this goddess deserves a much larger goon following online, but it's okay because it just means more chocolatey goodness for me. Shelly is one of the Team Aqua admins you encounter in Generation 3, and if you only play the originals like me, then you'd say, wait, I don't remember that character, and that's because both teams got glow-ups, with Team Aqua in particular even having a bit of a race swap which, as history shows, doesn't always sit well with the audience, but in this case, lots of fans think the designers actually cooked pretty well, which I agree with wholeheartedly. And while Redhead Shelly is pretty hot herself, Shelly 2.0 is like Nintendo took away the kiddie plates and gave us the good china, cause damn, she is fine. With nothing but a sports bra and a tiny little vest, I suppose OG Shelly gets points in the top department. I mean, could you imagine if they tried to squeeze Shelly 2.0's Hershey Kisses into that thing? But unfortunately, her bountiful bosom had to get nerfed by a closed top. I guess the designers had to find a way to prevent her sexiness from reaching Super Saiyan God levels. She does, however, win points in the pants department, gracing us with a glimpse of the whole bakery, which honestly seems a little risque for a Pokemon character design. I mean, is she going no pantsu? Whether she is or not, it's definitely one of my favorite assets of hers. And lastly, and probably my favorite feature about her, is that big ol' groovy 80s hairstyle of hers. Once again, they took something from OG Shelly, her big fluffy locks that sit below her waist, and made them even sexier, a do that fans out like waves of an ocean underneath a dark midnight sky, without losing any of the volume or length. As you'll see very soon, I've got a thing for big outrageous hairstyles on female characters, and Shelly is only the tip of that iceberg. Also, the fact that it's covering up one of her eyes, that one little detail, like, increases her sexiness exponentially. She's like a blue palette swap of Jessica Rabbit. She's even considered an antagonist, which makes sense, because any female character automatically becomes sexier when they're evil. It's like a known rule of character design. And I'm glad she's gotten a little more love than just a chibi 3DS model, being drawn from all sorts of angles in Episode 8 of Pokemon Generations. I mean, look at this! It's unbelievable! Not to mention how much fun the animators must have had with her hair, like it's literally taken on a life of its own. In the episode, she actually tries to stop What's-His-Face from awakening Kyogre, knowing its power will be too much and destroy the world. So she's hot, evil, and has a good side, literally the perfect package. But this idiot was too much of a Kyogre simp not to look to his right and see the legendary beast he was really missing out on, and literally went on to kill her by pissing off Kyogre just because he'd rather get the whole frickin' world wet instead of her. She's also in Pokemon Master Sex, but only as a fightable NPC, so I'm eagerly awaiting the day she'll get enough love to become a playable character, and have even more Rule 34 art made of her. Speaking of getting more love, the next Pokegal on my list is yet another whose obscurity rivals that of Shelly's, perhaps even more so. I mean, you literally interact with her for like 5 minutes at the start of the game, and then never see her again, which makes me question why they completely cooked with her design, only to make her as equally hot as she is irrelevant. Yes, it's Fennel, or, as they say in Japanese, Makomo, which I personally think I like better. She does kinda look more like a Makomo, but maybe they chose Fennel to play off of the whole Professor Tree Name thing, despite her not actually being a professor, but being Professor Juniper's assistant. Anyway, we're back to her most notable feature, crazy-ass hairdos that make no sense, but to me are sexy as hell. Like I said earlier, for the role she has, they could've just given her a bob like Chantal, or just cut her hair off at her shoulders or back, like most people. But when I see a character with hair that literally touches their ankles, that says to me, oh, this character looks pretty unique, therefore they must have a long-term equally important role in the game. But I guess that wasn't really the case here. If it wasn't clear already, she debuted in Generation 5, Black and White, and if you forget her from the game, then perhaps you may recognize her from the online Dream World feature that I remember using for a bit, but have very little memory of. I think I remember having fun at first, but then after a while there were only so many things you could do or click on to interact with. I feel like all I was doing by the end was just collecting berries for my Pokemon to bring back with it, if that's not a feature I just made up right now. but I did think it was kinda cool for its time and do kinda miss that it's long gone. Oh right, Fennel. Yeah, she would appear during the loading screens and give you instructions and stuff. Maybe that was why I even started using it? Similar to Shelly, she's also appeared in some other media as well, including the manga, anime, and most recently, getting her first trading card ever in the recent 2025 Black and White sets, appearing as a normal uncommon trainer as well as a secret rare full art card, which I actually have. Although, I guess it's the Korean version, but still, I own her in physical form. So yeah, she's cute, nerdy, has absurdly long and beautiful hair, and wears an incredibly low-cut shirt that you just want to see the cleavage of so bad, which, fortunately, a lot of people included in their fan art, almost like a Mandela effect. Everyone shares a collective memory of seeing her with cleavage, so that's how they draw her, but little do they know, it was never there to begin with. Something else that's a bit humorous is that while she only appears as a chibi overworld sprite since you don't actually fight her, the female scientist trainer sprite used in the game is literally just her for some reason. Like, at first I was saying how I felt some thought actually went into her design, but then you just see every female scientist look exactly like her and I'm like, really? I mean, I think her overworld sprite is literally just a copy-paste of the scientist one, so they really are one and the same. Although, I guess it's still a hot design, so I shouldn't really be complaining, cause you essentially get to see her for more than just the 5 minutes at the beginning if you look at it that way. Regardless, she's definitely another quality waifu in need of some more love. Now we're entering the top 3 with a trainer that horny fans have no restraints for when it comes to showing their affection. Not that I'm necessarily complaining, and given her recent debut, likely needs no introduction. Yep, it's Ayano from Scarlet and Violet, and if you've been paying attention, I think there are 2 pretty obvious reasons why I sim so bad for her that she's my number 3. Yep, her 2 large and enormously plump mounds of hair things. Twin tails? I don't really know what you'd call their style. Most people compare a female's body to a temple, but I think that's a little vain. Come on guys, have a little more class. Her body isn't a temple. It's a carnival, with 2 massive cotton candy clouds I want to bury my face in, and afterwards, Who said 7 minutes of heaven needs to be in a closet when you're wearing an oversized jacket with room for 2? And based on how her thousands of adoring fans ever so nicely depict her, I don't think I'm alone in sharing that sentiment. I mean, I remember when she was first shown off during that live stream video thing, and for a time, she took the internet by the horn dogs and unleashed the floodgates of Rule 34 art. With her looking the way she did, and being the first ever Pokemon streamer, I mean, come on. The doujinshi plotlines practically wrote themselves. And if you're an OG viewer of mine, I even shamelessly fell victim to the debauchery to an extent, but it did get me 76,000 views. Being possibly the most, or second most, popular female trainer on my list also means she enjoys lots of perks my other Pokemon waifus don't have the same pleasures of. First of all, she's been featured on a lot of trading cards, 2 of which I own, albeit once again Korean. Appears as a playable character in Pokemon Master Sex, and even has appeared extensively in merchandise, with her even going so far as shrinking and gifting herself to me for my birthday last year. If that doesn't show true love from a waifu, then I don't know what does. But perhaps the coup de grace of my passion for this lovely character came in the form of my all-time favorite type of merchandise, the plush toy. Finally, after years of waiting, no, longing for the chance to quite literally cuddle up with one of my treasured fictional females, the time had finally come. It was only a 6-inch keychain, which I don't even know if that's including the chain or not. Contrary to my own religious beliefs, I didn't even end up buying one. That's how disappointed I was. My chance to bury my face into her big, supple, and squishy bunches of hair was gone. Just like the Arceus I traded to my friend during our 8th grade field trip to New York, because he said he wanted one and I thought this was a symbol of our permanent friendship, and I also thought I had a second one, but I don't think I did, which I would regrettably find out later. But he needed money, so like a week later he traded his platinum copy into GameStop for probably like less than $5, which can never come close to the cost of the sentimental value that Arceus meant to me, or even the fact that he was willing to trade his game at all, let alone the fact that he didn't even ask me if I literally wanted the god of all Pokemon back beforehand. Anyway, this could all be rectified if Pokemon just adapted this Gengar pillow into one of Ayano so I can wrap myself up in her massive mane just like this. The runner-up in the race for top Pokegal waifu is sure to be a sus choice for some, but I can't do her dirty by ignoring the fact that she was once my number 2 at a point in time, thus earning her a spot in the video. Quite possibly one of the most recognizable trainers, not just from Generation 5, but throughout all the games. It's the girl who knows the hearts of dragons, aka Iris. If you don't recognize her, then do you even know what Pokemon is? I mean, if nothing else, you gotta at least recognize her from her ridiculously memorable hair. I mean, her friggin' Axew lives inside of it. But for those of you who didn't need any refreshers, it may come from the fact that she was popularized by becoming one of Ash's main traveling companions in the Pokemon Black and White anime series, which is probably where my love-hate relationship with her began. As I've stated previously, it's always a blessing when any of my Pokemon waifus are adapted into additional media, like manga, merch, spin-off games, or, in this case, the anime. However, characters getting adapted into the anime is a bit of a double-edged sword. While I think we agree it's about time Pokemon games introduced voice acting, I will say its absence sort of makes us develop the character more in our minds, especially in the Game Boy and DS games where, let's be honest, voice acting would have been physically impossible. There was even another added layer of developing the character for yourself, because although certain personality traits did come through in the dialogue, seeing a static pixel sprite versus an animated 3D model left so much more on the table for you to form your own idea of the character from. And being a dumb kid only invested in the Pokemon games back then, I rarely watched the anime and often wrote it off as being really stupid. Having actually watched anime like Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece, I always viewed the Pokemon anime as childish and sort of like fake anime, since the production value was nowhere near the quality of the Shonen Jump shows. Yeah, I know, it probably sounds insanely stupid, but that's likely the reason I didn't even really like Iris at first, because she was just this really annoying character with a voice I didn't really care for and always seemed to have a bit of an attitude. But then, I don't know, I kinda started to take a liking to her, probably around the time of the release of Black 2 and White 2. I don't know if it was because she was the new champion, but I decided to see past her annoying anime depiction and give her a chance. Looking back at Generation 5 now, I kinda wish I had gotten White version instead of Black version. Back then, I thought Reshiram was the cooler legendary, and didn't care that Iris wasn't the 8th gym leader, but years later, wish I had got White version because I do like Zekrom better now, and Iris would have had way more screen time. So, I feel like the 2010s me did my number 2 a great disservice. I would completely make up for it by buying buttloads of her merchandise, if literally anything existed. I don't know how you can have one of the most popular female trainers get nothing more than a keychain and a finger puppet. Finger puppet! Okay, I do see right now there is a statue and some smaller things like acrylic stands, and I will say she does have quite a lot of card representation, but damn, I'm still salty she didn't even get so much as a plush keychain like Ayano did. A huge, steaming pile of crap, if you ask me. Okay, this is it. The moment you've all been waiting for. The female character I've never stopped simping over for more than a decade. My number 1 Pokemon waifu, and possibly number 1 fictional crush of all time. It is Elite Four Caitlyn. I mean, dude, I remember the days when Cynthia not only took my number 1 spot, but practically gave me my awakening. Little did I know, a few years later, God would deliver the perfect woman that would practically wipe Cynthia from my memory. And I know Cynthia is probably the number 1 highest regarded Pokemon waifu of all time, but man, we've just gotten so many banger designs since Gen 4 that she's maybe lucky to be in my top 10. Ugh, but damn, I still remember the first time I encountered that Enchantress, clueless to the fact that my life would be forever changed. That screenshot, that first screenshot. I know it cuts off, but I'm telling you, I had a hunch. When I saw those cream-colored waves trail out of frame, unlike Chantal's, whose bob you could see was short and ugly, I said, this could be it. This could be the one I've waited my entire pre-adolescent life for. And I waited, and waited, and desperately friggin' waited for any new updates about the game's release, praying we'd get to see more of her. I friggin' checked Cerebi, Bulbapedia, Pokebeach, and other 2010s Pokemon sites like an vulture. And then, on November 25th, 2010, oh, it came. Hell, I probably even came. In all her cut-off, blurry, pixelated glory, but we had it. I mean, my god, how the frig could you design a character whose entire hair couldn't even fit in the frame? It was so hilarious and beautiful at the same time. But I couldn't believe I still had to wait probably like months to see the full damn image, which I believe was first obtained from the official Black and White website. And my god, not only was my initial hunch from looking at a teeny pre-release screenshot from almost a year prior accurate, but I don't think anything could have prepared me for the magnitude of her full design. I mean, her hair was friggin' wider than she was tall. I legitimately could not believe a Japanese artist fished into my brain and literally pulled out every design quality I could ever want in a fictional girl. And despite the strange miscommunication of her hair color between her sprite and artwork, they landed on my preference. Blonde. Friggin' blonde. Finally, my life was complete. And I remember going into Target and picking up that strategy guide and seeing my 2D goddess as I flipped to the character page, and even though she was cut off as usual, I didn't care. Cause my god, the way I felt looking at her standing in that aisle, you'd think I was flipping through a friggin' Playboy for the first time. But as the years went on, I'd get to share many more moments with my lovely Caitlin. First, of all the Elite Four members, the anime gods chose her to randomly fight in some random episode I never could have anticipated. Man, I shit myself when I saw that was coming out, and you better believe I got my lazy ass up Saturday morning to watch the premiere on Cartoon Network, which, once again, I was so secretive and excited about, you'd think I was watching some sort of porno. Next came some unexpected Pokemon Center merch, sitting alongside my old fling. After appearing in multiple card sets, some with Cynthia there still continuing to haunt me, but I think the best blessing of all hasn't been any of the merch, surprisingly, but Pokemon Master Sex. I never had a desire to play Pokemon Go for all the years it had been out, but the second I saw that Master Sex game trailer with Caitlin poking her beautiful little head over Palmer's left shoulder, fuck, it was like waiting for Black and White to come out all over again. And, the greatest gift of all, her enormous hair of planetary proportions and glorious 3D, which, quite frankly, I just wanted to see how the hell it would be translated from drawing to model. And I can't say I'm disappointed with the result. Sadly, despite all of this, still no plushes, but I do have my hopes that someday. The irony in all this was, she had existed right under my nose 2 years prior to Black and White, appearing in the Battle Castle and Platinum's Battle Frontier. Granted, that design was nowhere near her flawless Gen 5 glow-up, but looking back at that very first image, when I knew it was love at first sight, something about it seemed strangely familiar, like she was an old friend I had seen before. I like to imagine that possibly, deep down, my brain had made the connection through her parted hair, squiggly locks, and emerald eyes, that this character and I had met before, and in time would be destined for something greater. So, while Shelly, Fennel, Ayano, Iris, and Caitlin are undoubtedly my top 5 Pokemon trainer waifus of all time, don't worry, cause the full list easily goes on, and this was just scratching the surface.